So welcome everyone. Thanks for coming. This will be our permanent location. So this will be where we meet. So third Wednesday of every month, investors group. We almost always have a speaker. We've had some really good speakers. And next month we have, I think, a couple of speakers. So one of the gentlemen is going to come and talk about estate sales. And then we have another one. I'm trying to get that confirmed before I announce that he's coming too. So beyond that, my name is Ginger Marcus. For those of you who are meeting me for the first time, who haven't been here before, we've been meeting for 9 years, almost 10 years now. We have, we've grown, we've gotten smaller. We're usually a minimum of about 30 people. I think in December, we had an all-time low of about 15 in December, which is not unusual. If we have a really hot speaker, sometimes it gets people out during the winter colds and during the holidays. So anyway, so my name is Ginger Marcus. I am a real estate agent with Fathom Realty, and I am an investor. I've been an investor a lot longer than I've been a real estate agent. Been an agent for 8 years, and myself, among some other agents in the room, as we go around the room, you're going to find that some of us are very investor friendly compared to people that are outside this room that don't know what you're talking about when, you're like, will the owner finance? Do you feel, carry or whatever? And they're like, it doesn't say that in the MLS, and it doesn't hurt to ask, right? So we always ask those of us that are investor friendly. We're always asking for creative ways that, you can finance your projects and that kind of stuff. So obviously today we're going to talk about self-storage. I'm going to leave that up to the expert, Jeff. So, but just really quick, wanted to share with you. They have stats up so now it's SNR. I don't know if they're changing the website, but RSAR, Reno Sparks Association of Realtors, recently merged with Carson City. So now we're Sierra Nevada SNR. I don't even know what it stands for. Anyways, I think it says right there actually. Sierra Nevada Realtors, I guess. I don't know. So we're SNR now. So now the numbers include Carson. So if these numbers look weird to you and they're like the prices and all that kind of stuff. So we're bringing Carson, Reno, and Sparks all into one, which helps us. Here's the part about that. The more data we have, the better our numbers are going to be. Now we can split it up. So if you guys wanted to go into the SNR website, which you can still get to it from rsar.net, you can still pull up this information. They just didn't have it yet. Not sure exactly why. It has something to do with the merge, but I was able to get into the market insights, which if you're a realtor, you have access to that. So median sale price, and again, we now have Carson in there, so I want to kind of jump back for a minute. So in May of 2022 was the peak at $591,995, and as of the end of January 2023, we're at $515. So
were those numbers scaled down because of the fact that they incorporated the Carson?
No, so they brought in Carson's numbers all the way back from
originally.
Right.
Whenever they started that.
Right. So when you look at these numbers in these charts, you're going to have all three in there. So because Carson used to have the same stuff, the Domus Analytics, but it was all separated. So we weren't able to do it easily. We could do it, but it wasn't all put together like this for us. So median sale price, I wanted to go to closed sales, which is all over the place, but as you can see right here, very different from January last year and January 2020, January 17. So it's down, so annually, so it's down from last year by almost 30%. Oh, sorry, 43%. So that's the closed sales. And then the percent of list price received It's also down. But at one point, people were getting like 103% of the ask price. And not everyone's getting their ask price. Some people still are, but that's starting to make an adjustment here. So we're seeing some changes in the market. And then percent closed above list price has drastically reduced as well. So going back to the median sale price, which is kind of something that's easy to gauge. One of the things obviously is interest rate. Does anyone have any idea, any other reasons why they think that the market has kind of stalled out? Or have you seen this stall out? Because I'm starting to see the buyers come out again. They're starting to come out. My phone's been ringing off the hook this week. So I don't, other realtors, are you guys having that same situation where the buyers are calling you now? Right? So they're starting, what's that?
I've seen the prices come down. The price range for people have to find the houses that are priced up for the people just
You don't think so? Okay. Yeah. So I haven't seen a lot of price reductions, but what I'm seeing, and just in certain areas, I guess, because I work primarily in certain areas, I work all over the place, but I specialize in certain areas, and I'm seeing if the home is move-in ready, absolutely, they're getting ask price or more. There's, you know, still a little bit of a bidding war. If it needs to be fixed up, it's sitting on the market for a longer period of time. Anyone else have anything they want to share about the market or why it's stagnated for a little bit in January? Snow, absolutely, the weather.
I've seen a hell of a lot worse markets.
Yeah, thank you. Right. So you've been in the business for how long?
38 years.
38 years. So you've seen it go up, down. You've seen it spike up and drop down.
Yeah, that's an easy one.
Perfect. I love that. An easy market to work in. So for investors, I just don't want investors to think that they're not going to be able to sell their property, because most of the investors here are making the product move-in ready, right? Am I right? Most of you guys think.
Yes.
Okay. No slumlords in here. Just kidding. Okay. I have a rental report, but we didn't get it till late from our buddy Robert, and so I will share that with you by email. That's okay. So when Anthony sends out the email that has the video link and whatever handouts we have, that'll be one of the handouts we share. It'll be a PDF. So I don't have a lot to say about the rental market. Not much has changed. And again, the 3-bedroom.
Our rents holding where they've been over the last year or so.
They are.
Or they've been a softened.
He says they're just as strong. We still have a strong housing market where we still have a shortage where they're still getting a lot of applications.
Yeah.
And so he's not having any problem as long as it's like a typical home for the area. If that makes any sense, you know? So does anyone deal in short-term rentals? Anyone doing short-term rentals? How are those doing?
They're doing, I mean, the short-term rentals that I work on are all in the Metro Phoenix area.
Okay.
So it's a little bit of a different market, but it was a really interesting week because it was the Super Bowl last week. And like management at the same time, yeah. And it was everybody was surprised because the market just got flooded with like temporary supply for that week.
Okay.
It was really interesting. A lot of people in Phoenix, what they did was, since the Super Bowl was not that long ago, like the last Super Bowl, there was only a few years ago, and the rates went to the moon. So what happened this time was a lot of people that lived full-time in Phoenix rented an Airbnb in like Sedona. And then they put all of their money on their garage. So the craziest thing is like the weekend before the 2 huge events, occupancy was like 20% higher than the weekend of the event. And then the weekend following is trending to be right back to where the weekend before the events was. So it was,
Back to normal market.
They called it the STR bundle. Market last week.
That's cool. So I bet Vegas will have the same thing next year.
Maybe, who knows?
Vegas has a lot of room nights though.
They do, yeah.
Have a big competition. We're seeing, we have a couple properties out there. We're not seeing as much demand other than for the Super Bowl month. But after that, the demand has fell off. Short term, you know. Market.
Was that one over there just for the short term market and like Airbnb stuff where people are doing the short term rentals or more? It sounds like that's what it was as opposed to the, longer term
It
rentals.
really just impacted the short-term rentals for that one weekend.
Yeah.
Because right after like this coming weekend, everybody's booked up pretty much what they were 2 weeks ago. So it was like, it was a very short, phenomenon for just a few days. But, yeah, it's interesting.
That's really cool. Thanks for sharing that. Does anyone have any? Yeah.
I've got a question about concession.
Okay.
If rates are good, maintaining at the past level, do we have data on concessions that the?
We don't have data on concessions. Does anyone want to chime in on that? Any of our realtors?
Nationwide, we're seeing about 47% of the offers are including concessions.
Like a month?
Wow, so we do have data.
Well, we're looking at 1 to 2%. And so the consent, the bigger impact on concessions is going to closing costs to offset rates, buy down rates.
And we have limits on concessions, right?
Well, you do. It all depends on the program. Whether in investor world, it's going to be informing for investment money. So depending on the loan, you can go 3 to 6 to 9%. So I mean,
Okay.
you can go all the way up to 4%, but the impact on the buyer is better to buy the rate down than it is to reduce the purchase price
Right, if they're gonna hold it long term, right?
if they're going to hold it long term.
Okay. Well, very good. Does anyone else have anything they want to discuss or have a question? Yeah.
So I think besides interest rates, it's
Yeah.
the stock market. So everyone's portfolio has been crushed in the fourth quarter. And no one wants to sell when they're, sell when they're down.
Right.
The market's coming back a little bit.
Yeah.
So maybe when people.
Some
see
confidence
bigger
is maybe-
numbers,
Yeah,
There's a lot of fear around
thank you
that.
for sharing.
Investment portfolios, everything. Kind of is stay on the sidelines.
Yeah, okay.
Just to touch on that, are you guys seeing people buying down their loans as investments?
Yeah, because if the seller's paying for it, it's not a big deal.
Yeah, but I personally, my deal is I don't want to buy down any of my loans because I expect to refinance it.
Well, I wouldn't either, because I do believe the rate will come down in 2 years. At least that's what they're still predicting, but everything keeps changing every 90 days.
Yeah.
So they predicted they'd be down in the second, third quarter, now they're going to put further back.
Yeah.
So who knows? I wouldn't pay my own points to buy down the rate, but if the seller's paying it in the deal, your cash flow difference is like 3x from buying down the rate that the seller pays.
Yeah, I'm still not, I'm just taking the money.
You can you're putting good together paying cash, right?
No,
No, is it all financing?
some of them are financing, some of them are selling financing, some of them are cash.
But it's with cash.
I'm not touching anything.
It all depends on the, like you said, how long you open the hole.
One of the things I'm seeing with new construction, if anyone's been looking at new construction, we have, a lot of the lenders are offering, if you use their lender, their preferred lender, they're offering promotional deals where they're buying down or they'll contribute anywhere from 10 to 20 grand. Or you can use it for whatever you want, upgrades, rate buy down, closing costs, whatever you want, but that's a significant amount. The most I saw was 40 grand in Carson at Lennar. And my client, she nabbed that. I was like, they had just lowered the price of the home by 90 grand. And yeah,
So that will give you, if you pay attention to national builders and what they're doing, their forecasters are predicting a 15% fall off nationwide.
Yeah.
I don't think this market's gonna experience that, but they're predicting pretty large fall off. And so they're trying to get rid of inventory right now at this price point before it drops. Because they're gonna run into issues with, you get into fourth phase and fifth phase, and now you're $100,000. We were here in 08, in 09, and you saw what happened to the market. And I'm not saying we're gonna even remotely approach that again, but it's a real problem for builders.
Yeah.
I think 08's a lot different of a creature and the underlying of the economy that we have presently is vastly different than 08. You know, because I was intimately involved in 08.
Well, yeah, they're 90, I don't think they have anything
It's-
like that.
Yeah, and I saw a lot of, the lenders literally just go, stop.
Well, yeah. negative
Yeah, credit,
amortization.
no, it was gone overnight. I watched the entire capital markets implode in 2008 and just go boom. And I said, we're all in trouble.
So you have a ton of equity now where you had zero equity.
Exactly, that's part
And
of
it
it.
was also cheaper to rent a house across the street. Half of your mortgage payment back then,
Mhm.
and now.
Or buy the foreclosure across the street, move in and let yours go.
People wouldn't even foreclose, so people live rent free for about years.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Oh, I know people that are better loans too.
There are a lot, yeah, this is all full document for the most part, except for your investment in multifamily. Multifamily is still run at DSCR, so which is a great one.
Yeah.
That's commercials hit residential. And so that's really residential investments.
Mhm.
So.
So so the national averages, they always loop us in with Vegas and our economy here is so different. So if you guys see, numbers and it's lumping Nevada all into one number, we got to remember that Vegas does have a surplus of supply on new construction and whatnot that they're dealing with that we don't necessarily have. So it's not a huge frightening thing right now. So all the builders up here that survived, they're all reputable builders and they're all like releasing just little pieces of their product and building only small portions.
5 at a time.
Yeah. So, okay, without further ado, I know everyone came to listen to
I
you.
did.
So come on up, Jeff, and I'm gonna actually let you introduce yourself and
Okay.
tell us about you and what you're gonna talk about.
Okay. Just to kind of give you a little bit of my background, I graduated from college and then I went into commercial real estate analysis. So I kind of jumped right in out of college and we did analysis on industrial buildings and multifamily and all kinds of comps. I don't know if you guys recognize that company, if you've ever been in that. We did the comps for a lot of the commercial properties. So we looked at industrial, office, retail, everything. So I had a kind of a really broad base. From there, what I did was I took that information and kept the job, but I also started buying and selling investment properties. I bought one for myself and literally moved in and we fixed it up ourselves to get started living, and we've moved in and had a blow up mattress the very first time when we first moved into the property, and it didn't even have the heater wasn't even working at the time. I had to get a friend of mine that was a heater guy to come over and fix it for me. So I started that way and then went to these things and started learning, bought a number of investment properties. I've probably done about 50 fix and flips over the years. Decided that fix and flips is a great way to make, pocket money and keep going, but you got to find that next deal. It's always about finding that next deal and being able to turn it. So I started buying investment properties out of state. I bought one in Arizona because we had family there in Phoenix, and then bought some in Texas, bought some in North Carolina, South Carolina, Kentucky. The overall goal plan at the time was basically have one investment house in every single state and then drive around with the RV. And if one became vacant, I'd go over there and live in that one. The formula that I used for that was really basic. This one took me a while to figure this one out. 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, blue collar, working class neighborhoods. Nice schools, better school districts. If you can get a good house in a good school district, you can increase your the rental rate by $100 to $200 a month easily. I had one in Georgia that was in a really phenomenal school district, and it bumped up the rates by $300 easy a month. And then the blue collar people, obviously, a lot of times good stable jobs. A lot of times they pay the bills, but they can never get out of that. The next step to buy the house. I'm literally selling one today. Right now, we've got it in escrow. It's in Southern California that I've owned for 11, 12 years. And the guy that's lived there, I've had the same renter for the last 12 years. Phenomenal renter. He's a great guy. I'm sorry to see him go. I actually tried to structure the deal to sell it to him. But he couldn't have qualified. So he said, okay, I'm going to move out. And he left and we're selling it on the market. I put it on the market It did need some fix up, and we got 4 offers on it, and it was above list price. And because I knew we'd listed a little bit lower on the market, so that's Southern California, that's in Hemet. Where I own that property, it's in escrow now, it should be closing in the next couple of weeks, and I'm taking that money and rolling it into the next project, which is, you'll see some of the information. So in regards to the self-storage, I'm gonna kind of start really, really broad. And then we're gonna narrow down a little bit, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna kind of analyze a couple of deals in a couple of different venues. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna talk about the overall self-storage industry. I'm gonna take national statistics, national information. This is not specific to this local regional market, but if you take this, you can dig into it and find the information for the market, because I'm gonna talk about a lot about the market and what you want to do when you're looking at the properties. That's one in Tennessee we've got in escrow, and we'll be closing on next month. So first thing, self-storage industry, annual revenues of about $38 billion. That's bigger than the motion picture industry, right? It's been a growing industry over the last literally 40 years, right? Started in Texas in a little small mom and pop places, people building stuff, and just over the years have built it. Now it's doing about 38 billion. That includes everything from mom and pop, little small units of 50, all the way up to 38, to the big guys, extra space storage, public storage, all the different ones you can actually literally trade on the New York Stock Exchange. I own some of the stock for extra storage because I want to watch it and look at their reports, as well as, some of the REITs out there. So what they invest in, 45,000 to 50,000 square feet facilities out there. Like I said, everything from very small mom and pop operations all the way up to the behemoths, over 1,000 units that they're managing and renting and stuff like that. 1 billion square feet, 1.7 billion square feet. That's huge, right? That's a lot of space, right? That's being rented out. It's an investment property, right? So they're looking for the return on that. That creates returns for people. Here's one that I find extremely interesting. 9.4% of all households are renting self-storage units. Only less than 10%. 9%, right? And with the drive to smaller units in multifamily, smaller places, people are going to need more spaces to be able to keep some of the stuff. I was talking with one developer who's working on a concept that's in like the San Francisco area, where you can literally rent. It's almost like a closet space, for people to keep in there. And the rates are very, very expensive. The development cost is extremely expensive as well, but it's very interesting that they're getting to the point where, literally in San Francisco, rent a closet. Well, if you ever seen some of those rental units over there for the multifamily, you'll think they're closets in there. That's from square foot. That's one of the things. Drivers for the self-storage industry, right? 77% is residential. So that's going to be a key point later on when we look at demand. 19% is business, 2% is student, 2% are military. But usually when they're renting something, it's one of a couple of things. One, I needed to keep my stuff, and I want to keep it at a space. Keep it somewhere because I want to keep it so I can close by, where I can go get it and pick it up. Or they're in transition, divorce, right? Moving, got a new job, I'm going somewhere else. So I'm going to take it, I'm going to stick the stuff in storage. I'll come back and pick it up later, or I'm going to move it to the new location and pull it out later, right? So all of it, it's either storing items. Business storage, one of their drivers is it's primarily for inventory file storage or the contractor's units. Worked with a contractor here locally that had a big storage unit. He was a glass contractor. He did glass installations and stuff like that. And he had a couple of big storage space. We got him into a new property to buy one, but a lot of that stuff obviously is driven by their business. Maybe that's their first step into developing their warehouse or storage space for the inventory. All right. So the 5 steps in really evaluating the self-storage market is know the market, know the competition, know your customers, know what your business plan is. What's your business plan when you're going into real estate? And then know what the exit plan is. What are you really going to do with it? What's the purpose of going into that investment? Why are you doing it? Right? So we're going to start really wide, and then we'll dig down a little bit. All right.
several different types of asset classes for self-storage. A, B, C, value add strategies, and then you got the ground up development, right? And both in the development process, you have both ground up construction, which is going through the entitlement process, getting all the approvals, and then being able to do it and then taking it through the ground up. And then conversion of existing buildings, buying that old Kmart building and converting it into a, self-storage facility. Matter of fact, there's a very famous case. I don't know if you guys listed Bigger Pockets. There's one on there. I don't remember the number on it, but on the Bigger Pockets, they talk about a conversion of a Kmart, and they made up about $13 million. That's located here in the Reno market. I don't know if any of you guys ever heard that, but it's actually here in the Reno market up in the north area. All right, so Class A, that's major MSAs. That's going to be the top 50 MSAs. Los Angeles, San Francisco, Dallas, Fort Worth, all the majors. Large populations, over 500,000 people in that particular area. Typically, you're going to see in the major MSAs. It's the top 50. 40,000 square feet facilities or larger. Those are going to be the ones that are going to be anywhere from about 500 to 1,000 units, depending on the mix of the configuration. Major road exposures, they're looking for major thoroughfares. They're looking for the one right over here where it's right off it looks like an office building, but you can see, and it's got lighted up and everything like that. I don't remember who's managing it, but there's one right off the freeway. They're looking for that major exposure right now. So we're actually, I believe, we're in a transition from going from a tertiary secondary market into a major market, because we have a lot of REITs now that are actually looking in these areas because they're looking for those higher returns, right? They don't want the 4%. They're looking for, 5.25 probably. So newer construction, newer properties, but you're also going to be competing against the big guys, right? And do you really want to compete against the big guys? If you're already in the market, that's a different conversation. But if you're looking to get into it, do you have deep pockets? You got a REIT that you got a couple $100,000, $100 million to go throw at it. Okay, this is also going to be the lowest class returns because you're competing against the REITs. REITs, their money's cheap, but at the same time, when they put out their investments, they're trying to get returns on huge amounts of money. So if they can get 4% return on an investment, then they're doing actually pretty good. So their investment criteria, and they already have systems set up to manage. So all they have to do is come in, take over the facility and run. There was 2 facilities that was just West Coast Storage over here was just recently purchased, and the one down here, $17 million. We bid on that one, and it was originally listed for $14 million and went for $17 million. And they've come in and just taken it over because they just put in their manager, they put in all their people, they had everything in place. And so their cost of operations are significantly less.
So
Yes.
what kind of cap rate is that type of transaction trade for?
Typically right now, well, in this market or the last year when they were doing it.
No.
Last year when they were doing it, I've seen 4.5, 4.75. That one, now part of that one was also they were doing a 1031 exchange. They sold a major office building in Seattle. So they had a lot of money to place. So they thought it was better to place the money in some sort of investment vehicle or real estate as opposed to, paying it to Uncle Sam, right? And there's nothing wrong with, taking tax strategies, right? All right, Class B, secondary, both MSAs and secondary markets. Top 100 markets in population. You're going to be dealing with people anywhere from about 100,000 in population to about 500,000 in population is typically where you're going to be. Like I said, Reno, I think, is one of those. We're in transition. We're going from a major secondary market to a major market. And that's one of the things we've got so much growth coming from California. Clarksville, Nashville, Memphis, Atlanta's a major. Monroe, some of the smaller ones over there are going to be the ones that are going to be the smaller MSAs and stuff like that. You're going to still have large amounts of facilities, but sometimes you're going to have some of the older ones. You're going to have the mom and pops, and they're going to hit anywhere from about 40 to 80,000 square feet as far as the facilities are concerned. You want good road access. They're going to be able to look at that stuff, the thoroughfares and stuff like that. You're going to be wanting to look at that stuff as far as those things. And then a lot of times you get some of the older properties that have been around for a number of years, but they've aged or been well managed. You're gonna get a little bit better of a return on this, but it's still not gonna be where the value add is, right? So we'll get in that a little. Secondary C-class properties. This is treasury markets, right? 5,000 people to maybe 100,000, depending on the different markets. If you go into a smaller market, I had a broker send me a thing about 2 weeks ago on a property. They were asking $1 million. It did cash flow, but the problem was the population was about 6,000 people. Yeah, 6,000 people, and I'm like, look, the only way you could buy this one was owner financing, or if it's a situation where, you know, I can buy it based upon cash flow, because that's not gonna get the appreciation in the secondary markets and the third markets that you're looking for. You're not gonna get that upside appreciation that sometimes you're really looking for, right? It's gonna have to be based on cash flow. So then when you're looking at those, that's when you wanna price that rate, right? Older properties, a lot of the mom and pop facilities that have been around for a number of years, they were developed by people, and sometimes their unit configuration's a little bit of a mess. You know, things of that nature, or they've got people that have owned them for 10 or 20 years and haven't actually raised rents. So those are the opportunities that you want to be looking for. You're going to get a little bit higher of a return. You know, this is not the rule, but you know, 6% on a cap rate, right? Those are the kind of things that you're going to be 6, 7, 8. Obviously, what's the rule on cap rates? Higher the better, right? Rate of return, right? So these things are going to be significantly, you're going to look at what you're going to be, these types of investments when you're buying them and analyzing, you're going to want to look at the capital expenditures to either bring it up to speed or get it to a place where it's pretty well managed, all right? Value add strategies, right? Either hire a third party outside management. Every property management company I've talked to over the last couple of years, they all have a new management division. I talked to a couple of CPAs that are getting into the management of self-storage. Nothing wrong with that. I think that's a great idea, you know, because there is a lot of that needs to be done there. But you want to look at raising the rates on the market, right? You want to be looking at where they're currently offering, and we're going to dig into this a little bit later and really dig into it, all right? And then what you want to do is, how long have they had their tenants? We're looking at a facility, they've got people that have literally been there for probably 10, 15 years. And the guy's barely raised rates because of the fact that it's a mom and pop, and he just doesn't want to have to deal with this stuff. Because managing that stuff takes work, right? All right, improvements in the bot marketing on presence. A lot of them don't even have one. Great story out in Winnemucca. There's a facility out there. Mom and pop owned it for years and years and years. It was a smaller facility, but they didn't have any kind of an online presence. They had no kind of marketing out there. Their management was the old board where they have the layout and they're going, okay, 96 here, it's got a red flag, so it's occupied. So good people though that bought it and took it, and they've been able to turn around and did a wonderful job on it. Ways that you can also increase your gross revenues: tenant insurance, required tenant insurance for each of the tenants that you're bringing on board. Don't just say, hey, it's an option, require it of them. You get a kickback. Usually what's the split is usually out of every $10 you get 70. So $7 out of 3, depending on what it is, or depending on who your insurance provider is. So that's a good way to raise rates and stuff like that. Improve your marketing, repositioning the property with capital expenditures, you know, giving it a facelift sometimes. It's the same thing when you buy a, you know, fix and flip property. You're going to fix it up, clean it up, put some lipstick on the pig, and, you know, hopefully either keep it, run it, or sell it, right? Ground up. This one takes the longest time. I was the developer in Southern California in 2008. Woohoo! Tell you some stories. I watched the entire capital markets implode, go sideways and disappear. It was a completely different market. And in California, it's 2 to 3 years to get entitlements done, right? Anything over 5 acres, you got to do an EIR, environmental report. You got to do all the entire entitlements and all kinds of stuff. So
How does that compare to here?
But
If you want to do it down.
Reno, Nevada is actually really good. Reno's here, but I see a lot of the what's a good way to say this? I see a lot of the things they're learning from California, they're adapting over here. layering up bureaucracies, requiring additional reports, doing a lot of different things like that, that they did in California 20 years ago. Requiring certain ERIs. In California, they have also, you have to set asides on the amount of your land for the environmental, for kangaroo rats, for all this species and stuff like that. So there's a lot of stuff that goes into that. And it takes a long time. If you got deep pockets and you want to do it, or you own land, can you do it? Absolutely. Is it a good location? You're gonna have to look at that. You know, look at the feasibility. You want to, I would say, before you really get into the development portion of it, dig into it and understand the market. My suggestion is go buy a facility and learn how to run it first, because then you can see where the market is and who your customers are, and you can learn all that other stuff. Because that's going to be key, because once you open the doors, how long is it going to take you to get stabilized? Right? Is it 6 months, 12 months, 24, 36? After 36, if your loan's going to come due and your lender is going to go, hey, where's that loan? I think there's some apartment buildings that are going to be in, that are underwritten in this market here, that are in about 3 to 5 years are going to be might be an investment opportunity to purchase.
What happens if the property is already correctly zoned for storage?
That's even better. Because go to talk to the city, always talk to the city. And here's the key question when talking to the cities. What would you like to see there? They typically have a 5 and a 10-year development plan. Some of them are required to have a 5 and 10-year development plan, sometimes up to 50 years. Where do we see the city in 50 years or 10 years? You know, and if it's zoned for that, they're open to that. And it's a lot easier than trying to change their zoning, right? So you go to a thing and it's zoned for multifamily and you want to change it over to self-storage, and you're already behind, they're already behind the 8 ball in residential units. You think they're going to let you convert that? You're like, it's a good investment for me. They're going to go, you know, you can always apply.
Reminding counties and cities are not
They're
receptive to storage.
some are, depending on the situation. They don't, their biggest thing is they don't have the tax revenues off the self-storage.
Which is incorrect.
So that's their belief.
Property taxes are,
Well, the property taxes on the assessment.
it's basically free money for the cities and counties because they don't have any services. There's no fire, ambulance, police, school. So
They have a little bit of police, but you're right about the fires and
It's
they're
very,
the
very
cost
good.
of services. So I think that
Probably a
would,
good thing for the cities.
I think that would be an educational program to go through the cities and stuff like that. But before, yeah, those are good conversations to have with them, to educate them. And go and sit down and talk with them, because they'll be open to hearing it, but they're gonna be concerned, obviously, with. Right, and also jobs. To run a facility that's 500 takes about 5 people, 6 people. And some of them don't even have to be on site, some of them will be completely off site. So completely off site, you're creating 5 jobs. Is that city gonna be excited about that necessarily? No. You know, that's not their focus sometimes, right? 1 acre minimum. I think you need to have more than 1 acre depending on where it's at, unless it's in, you know, a major city. And you're gonna go up, and you can go up, but the cost, once you get over 4 stories, man, the cost of building and construction changes completely. So, you know, that's a different creature altogether. So don't get into that unless you know what you're doing, or partner up with somebody that does. All right. I think you need to have, you know, a minimum of 3 to 5 acres if you can find it.
What do you think about 2-story?
Oh, I don't have a problem with 2 stories and multiple stories. I think there's some logistics in the operations of the facility, because, you know, elevators, you gotta look at their, you know, carts to get the stuff in. How far do they have to go back? There's a whole bunch of other logistics that you have to get into. And it depends on if you're developing it or if you're gonna go buy the facility and it's already a 2-story. You know, those are 2 different, you know, conversations. 2 different things to look at, right? Right. So this is when you're gonna get the highest, typically you're gonna get the highest returns, because they're trying to achieve, you know, a 20 to 30% return on their investment, right? They buy a piece of property, they do the entitlement, and they're gonna mark it up, you know, 30 to 50%. That's their return, right? Because they took the time to go do it. You know, you can get real good returns on that stuff, but the circumstances are that it does take time, and it does take your, you know, some political skills to be able to work through the process, you know, and then you're gonna get higher returns, and you, hopefully, if you buy the land right, you're gonna be able to get a good position. All right, conversion of existing buildings. I think this one's wonderful opportunities. I think there's a lot there, but once again, it's construction. And it's also understanding the market and knowing what's going on in that individual market, right? Like I said, we'll get into this a little bit later. You can usually get easier approvals from the city in that sense, if it's a building that's been sitting there vacant for a long time. But you know, the idea is that if they want to see, you know, another Kmart to go into that spot, or they want to see it as a retail because they want the retail dollars, right? To be able to get the revenues from that. You know, are they gonna be receptive to it, or are they gonna go, you know, and give you pushback on it? Stuff like that. So you want to really look at that. It's very capital intensive. It costs a lot of money because you're gonna have, depending on the building, its condition, and how much infrastructure you gotta be able to put into it. Can you do it? Absolutely. Is it a possibility, and can you make money? Absolutely. Those are definitely upsides, but you want to look at the downside.
What's the cost comparison from building ground up versus doing a retrofit, like to your point earlier, Kmart building down in Carson City?
I think we looked at that one. The city's got some issues with that, but usually the cost, it's gonna be less cost and the construction than
50, 60, 70%?
it's probably, in my experience, I have never done a conversion, so I don't know what the cost is. And, you know, with the supply chain that they've been dealing with over the last year, you know, I would think you could see probably a 50 to 60% decrease in cost of getting it done. But then you're gonna have to factor in the cost of the building, you know, any entitlements that they may require, things of that nature. If they require EIR reports, if they whatever reports the city might require, the lender might require a feasibility study to show that it's gonna be a viable project, stuff like that. There's a whole bunch of other stuff there. Like I said, if it's your first endeavor, my suggestion is don't go in on any of those routes unless you're going in with somebody that knows what they're doing and has the experience. All right, calculating demand. What's the old adage? Yeah, that's it, right? Demand equals supply. Oh, supply equals demand. It's always demand first. It's always demand first. Demand is the key. What's the demand for that facility? If there's a high demand for it, then you got a great project. If there's low demand, depending on the, you know, the per capita rate and stuff like that, right? So you want to calculate the demand for the market, define your market area, figure out how big of an area that you're really doing it. Most areas is 7 to 10 miles, 5 to 10 miles, right? That's where you're going to pull most of your customers from, except for in certain circumstances where I've seen it. There was a boat facility near a lake. So they stored boats there for people, so people could go down, pick up their boat, go, and so they lived all over the place. So their customer base was really wide, right? But they obviously had a specialized product that they were offering up for the people to be able to get their boats at the lake, right? Measure the existing storage. What's the per square foot offered in that individual market? Is it 4? So just so we can get everybody on the same page and understand what I'm talking about here. 4 square feet of storage space per person in the market, or is it 10 square feet? You're talking about the per square foot for everybody that's in the market. You want to understand that because in some markets, national average is about 7. I think that comes up later on in one of the slides, but national average is about 7. If it only has 4, usually it's an underserved market and there's a lot of demand, right? If it's at 11 or 12, that's high, but in some markets, you can go up to 17. Like I've seen I work with a good friend of mine, been building some projects in Florida, and he says that they're seeing 17 and they're still filling up. So it's crazy. I mean, because of the fact that I think it's just the demand, and then also they really look at the product type. Is it a 5x5 or is it a 10x20? You know, they do a lot of smaller units and stuff like that. So then what you want to do is you want to compare it to the national and to the regional. And then consider other factors about market entry, occupancy, and excellent site location. Great sites can be, you know, a key. There's one that I've drove by a bunch of times. A friend of mine called me and said, "Hey, why don't we look at that one? Entrance and exit. It's right off of the Moana right there. That little piece of land that's been for sale for years, right on the right. I think that would actually be a great thing. The biggest challenge is the entrance and exit on it. You're gonna have to go through a residential neighborhood. So That's, something to consider, right? Define the market area between 3 and 7 miles, typically 10 miles at the max, typically, or 15 minutes. And we're gonna get into that. How dense is the population? You know, you really want to understand it. And then what you want to do is you want to limit it by, you know, psychological barriers. Oh, I'm not gonna go on the other side of the 80. I live south of it, or I live north of it. I don't want to, you know, on the south side, you know, is there any kind of psychological or physical barriers that are gonna be preventing people from driving over and using that facility? So you want to define your market area and then dig into it really deep. All right, measuring existing, you can do Google Maps. Google Maps are wonderful, but they're not gonna give you everything that you need. They're just gonna let you identify the facilities that are out there, right? County GSI maps, where they're already designated. Any title reps here? No? Are you a title rep too? Escrow officer or title rep, you know, get to know your title rep so that they can pull the information and, you know, pull that up, take a look at it. Site to do business is a major one. There is a cost to do that. If you look at it, it's TDB, site to do business. They do, it's ESRI. I don't know if anybody, they're out of Redlands, California. Phenomenal, very expensive, phenomenal information, because they really dig into the markets. You're gonna see some examples of some of the stuff that you can pull up from there. I've got some later. You know, once again, the square footage, what's the square footage? Okay, and then once you look at that, is it gonna be a 1-story facility outside? One story facility inside? Or is it gonna be a 2-story, 3-story, 4-story, 5, right? And the logistics of that and the difference of that, once you start putting all that together, that's gonna affect your price and cost and everything like that, right? So compared to national average, once again, that's where the number came from. 7 square feet per person in the United States. So for every person in the United States, there's 7 square feet of storage. Right? And I think that's actually going to increase in the next couple of years. State averages vary, you can do that. So you want to take a look at not just the national average, you want to look at your market. Where are you going to be at? You know, what was it, Albuquerque or Alabama or somebody who's buying some properties over there? Albuquerque, yeah. New Mexico is a much different creature than, you know, Reno is, right? So it's a lot different. Other factors, market level occupancy, you know, are those other facilities in the market running at 90%? Or are they running at 70% or 60%? You know, percentage of occupancy is a key factor to look at on that. We'll get into that once you start looking into competition. Excellent site location, excellent development, right? Comparing case study. Oh, this is development, man. You guys are gonna like this one. Right? Traffic. This is on a property that's actually in Pennsylvania. 12,000 vehicles per day driving by. It was on a major thoroughfare. You'll see a picture of it here in a minute. Right? What's the total population? Once again, the total population you're going to pull from. Household count, median household income. That's going to be a key factor too. Are they up in the upper echelons or are they lower? Right? I mean, like I said, I've got some other stuff. You want to look at flood maps, because flood maps, anybody borrowed money recently and had to deal with flood issues? Can you get borrowing on that? That's something nowadays, right? So yeah, that's one of the things you're going to want to take a look at. Where's the water, where's the drainage and all that stuff. You want to review the competition in the market and occupancy rates and see where they're at. And then once again, I should have reversed that. I keep forgetting, right? Demand, supply, right? All right, that's the facility there. That's actually a piece of property that we were looking at. As you can see it's in Westchester, Pennsylvania. It's over to the left a little bit there. I think it was a 5-acre site. I can't remember. It had really good demographics. It had really good, the people actually had a higher income rate. They didn't have any train tracks going through there. And so that was the facility there that was looking at. If you look over to the top left right there where it says 14,000. Oh, he gave me the right? That's traffic count for the day. 8,000 on this right there. And then this one over here, I have to scroll down. See if we can do, it's 13,820, because this was a major thoroughfare for the road. So you want to look and see what the major traffic is on that stuff like that. So. And pop up, I'll have to do that. The flood maps and stuff like that, so you can see the drainage on it, where it's going and stuff like that. Oh, there we go. All right, this is competition on the market of it. This is their market rates based upon so red is the was a proposed facility. And then you can see all the different ones that we've kind of gone through. You can see the different sizes of units we're offered. 10 by 15, those are large, right? 5 by 5 are pretty standard on some of the market, but this market was because of the fact that it was more of a rural market, secondary, tertiary market, bigger units. People like bigger units and stuff like that, especially out in the rurals.
You get that data from association or something?
Variety of sources.
You did it yourself.
Yeah. Variety of sources, some come from square foot, some comes from the site to do business. Some comes from the self-storage association.
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, some of the stuff we buy some of that data. And then there's some that will do it specific to the market. A lot of you can do that on your own. If you want to take the time to do it.
Right.
You know, call up the people and go, hey, I'm just looking to rent a facility for 10 by 5. What? How much are you there? Right? So you can see all the different ones. But you have what? You got about 7 competitors in the same market and stuff like that. So you can take a look at it and you can see, okay, well, where are the rental rates on it? Where are they at on the 10 by 15s? Right? Are they interior or the exterior? Are they, climate? The CC up there stands for climate controlled, right? And is that a market that's going to demand climate control? Climate control is basically, what kind of stuff are these people really storing? That's where you want to look at the demand. So right here on the CC, interior, and all the different units. So you can see all the different, so you break that out. And then what you do is you do a diagram on your facility. And what you want to do is you want to take a look at it and you build it out and say, okay, what's the approximate square footage of out in the market? Right, total comparisons of the net rentable square footage in the market out there, right? 73,000. So you're proposing this 133,000 is going to be able to absorb that in the next 3 years. Is that market going to be able to absorb 133,000 square feet in the next 3 years? That's the question to really ask, right? Because the banker and the investors are going to ask that. Right? So where are they actually being supplied within a 5-mile radius? Same thing, right? 5-mile radius, 300,000, right? Existing, you're proposing a 60,000 addition, 406 in a 5-mile radius, right? So is it going to be able to absorb that in that market? And one of the things you want to do is to find out. I didn't do it on this one. Okay. I'll have to make a note of that, to add this the capital per square foot of the amount of square footage per person in the market. So estimated square feet for the demand for square footage, right? 3 miles, 5 miles, you got a population of 46,000 within 3 miles, 109 within 5, right? Estimated square feet demand for the market, 772,000, right? So within a 3-mile radius, estimate that there is a demand for 329,000 square feet. In a 5-mile radius, it's 700,000 square feet, right? So estimated remaining demand. That's the demand in the market. Right here. That's the estimated demand that's not being fulfilled right now, right there, right? Estimated remaining demand in the square foot per market, right? Because there's enough sufficient demand for 700,000, but it's sufficient by 230,000. Is that a place that you would want to build? Yeah, that's a place you'd certainly want to consider, and you want to look at your land cost, right? You want to look at the cost around and stuff like that. So what are your base costs, right? All right, market analysis. Where for the case study on it was the traffic reports 8,000 the thing. Here's the total population with a 3-mile radius was 46,000, right? Household count was 16,000 a 3-mile. Medium household income. What is it? It's right up there. The answer is on the board. There's a test later. 87,000. What's the national average household income? 52, 54, 52, right? Something like that. I don't know. Right? And it's out of the flood zone, right? So that means, You know, you start setting up your barriers, which are the no-go decisions, right? Go decision, no-go decision. A no-go decision is where you get enough information, you get to a point where you go, okay, this is a stop, we're gonna stop here. No go, right? Go decisions, you look at all the different stuff and you go, okay, we can keep moving forward with the project and see if it's gonna be worthy of our endeavors, right? Review the competition, high occupancy to high rates, right? So they had a high percentage of occupancy in there because of the fact that the demand was so high for that area. It's gonna be a good area to develop in the future, right? Complete supply demand study all right, it was overwhelmingly positive. Taking a look at it and you're going like, hey, this is, there's a lot of demand, right? 700,000 square feet in 5 miles. Right? Then what you want to do, the financial analysis. Gross potential, net, loan terms, and then review the pro forma, right? So this is the breakout of it right here. So 67, the unit mix. Read it right to left, that's 5x5s, 67, obviously the square feet, total square footage, percentage. This will be important a little bit later. And then the estimated price on what you can charge per unit, right? $50 to $360, depending on the size, right? Price per square foot, you want, that's a key thing. So potential monthly gross income, right? That's monthly gross. And that's based upon 100% occupancy, right? So annual income, 1.5 million, right? Scheduled on it. Average unit size is 100 square feet, right? Monthly income per square foot. You want to go through that and you just build out a Excel sheet. I got hundreds of them. Right? And you want to see where it goes. You hire a CPA to do the report, the analysis for you, right? Right? So type of unit mix, climate controlled, interior and drive ups. Those are the things that you're going to be looking at in the market, right? What is the demand for? Is it interior? Is it exterior? Do they want drive up or do they want to be able to push their little cart in to drop it off? Right? Do they want to be able to, is it climate control? Once again, climate control, is it that critical? Maybe. I've seen some facilities that don't need it at all because of the fact that most of the people that were storing stuff was, you know, hardware, equipment, tools, right? You don't need to worry about that. If you're storing computers, that's a different conversation, right? Completely different. Anyway, look at the unit mix. How much are there units from the competitor that there's an oversupply of 5x5s typically. I've seen that a lot, where the smaller units in certain markets are oversupplied because of the fact that people don't rent them. They want larger units, 5x10. We looked at one facility in Myrtle Beach, North Carolina. He had a bunch of 5x5s, but they were backed up to each other. And I'm like, why don't you just take the wall out and rent it as a 5x10? Because those ones, there was a lot of demand for it. So we never made a deal on it. Went back and forth on it a few times, but seller wasn't really, well, it's still on the radar. Right?
If
And
it's climate controlled, you have to factor in the cost.
yes. Oh, yeah, because there's a cost to being able to do it. You're gonna have electrical costs, you know, maintenance costs, stuff like that. But then again, you can also command a higher rate. So then you look at what's your cost per square foot, what your command for the gross revenues on it and stuff like that. So, right? Net operating income, this is a basic one, right? Gross potential, vacancy loss factor, gross factors, net income, 870,000, right? Fees, retail, insurance, truck rental income. That's one of the things that you can add, right? What time is it? Oh, how much longer do we got? Can I talk for another 4 hours? No.
Like another 15?
Oh, okay. I'm gonna move on a little bit here. This is one for an act. It's basically you go through the same analysis for acquisition. You look at the whole, but that one you're looking at a static thing that's already there, right? Not the development cost, right? So comparative, same thing, go through the process, right? Look at the expense per square foot, look at the gross potential income on it, vacancies, stuff like that. Best facility, if you went through it and looked at this one, I didn't go through the numbers, but a value cap at this one at 8%, the value of it was 3.2 million. That was after going through all the facilities and doing it. It was based upon the net operating income right here, right? So we're gonna hit that here in a second. Okay, this is the value add. This is the one you guys want to really know about, right? This is the one I should have spent a lot more time on. All right, what is the goal?
More money.
Increase,
Increase the cash flow,
Da-da-da, right? Increase the cash flow will increase,
the value.
right? So net operating income divided by
Operating
cap rate gives you
value.
value, right? That's a basic formula. That's the formula guys you can use on all your properties and stuff like that. Because a lot of times when you start talking to the investors, what do they say? What's your cap rate? What's the cap rate it's being bought at? What's the cap rate, right? Major ones, four. The values are way up high. You know, is it a 5 cap? You know, it's gonna be less than 6, 8, right? Net operating academy, right? Once again, the 5 steps, know the market, competition, customers, business plan, and your exit plan. All right, there's another facility in Clarksville, Tennessee. All right, this is knowing your market. Right? What is the market that you're really serving? So if you look at it, there's 2 different pieces of information here. The circles are miles, 3 miles, 5 miles, 10 miles. The red, darkened red, that is a 5-minute drive or a 3-minute drive. Yeah, 5-minute drive. 5-minute drive from the facility. Then the next one is going to be a 10-minute in green, and then the blue is a 15-minute drive. That's where we're going to pull all our customers from, because this is a local facility. You know, this is a local facility that's operating right now and that's up and running. So where's the market at? Where are your customers? Know who your, know where your market really is. Who are you selling to? That's going to help you actually cut your cost on advertising, because then you want to focus on that, just those people that live in that area. So you can, do mailers, or you can just do Facebook ads or online advertising and stuff. So you don't need to advertise to somebody that lives, 20 or 30 miles away, right? Know the market, once again, this one's on income. If you look at the different colors, that's all the breakout of the different kind of income of the people that are living within the areas. So who are they? These are more psychographics. This is like, are they affluent? Are they older? Are they younger? Stuff like that on the facility. This is information on who those people are that are living in that area, right? So where the blue dot is, obviously that's where the facility is located, and then everything around there. So a lot of the pink stuff is family landscapes. Those are all family people that have single family homes with a high percentage of ownership in that area. Yes, sir.
Where do you get that information?
Site to do business. All right. This is the competition. Know your competition. Once again, this is the facility, right? Know your competition. Those are there's 4 facilities within about a 10-mile radius. There's not that much competition, but you can see it, right? The top one here is the one that we're looking at doing. But if you look at the rates, 29, 40, 49, 59, 60, 17, 117, right? If you look at a comparison directly down, 97, 69, right? In comparison, the direct comparison, right? Of what the market's doing. So this is a guy that's been running a facility for 20+ years, owned it for a long time, and just doesn't really manage it well. It's an undermanaged facility. Those are good opportunities, right? What kind of real estate you want to buy when you're buying a fix and flip? You want to buy the guy that's going to carry the paper on it, and it's going to paint it and put it back on the market, right? You don't want any roofs, you don't want any washers, dryers, or the water heaters. When was the last time the roof was fixed? I don't know, 20, 30 years ago. Anyways, so you can actually look at it, and then the average rent per unit here, and then the average per square foot. So where's the market at? On this one here, if you look at it, I didn't pull it out, but on average, the facility is doing about $1.10 a square foot for rent, right? So $1.10 square foot is what the market is demanding. That's what you can get out of the facility. This facility, he's running about 44 cents a square foot, right? So all you have to do is go in, rip the bandage off, scare all the people, send them a nice letter, said, hey, we love you. Rates are coming. 60 days. You better get in here, and if you don't like us, okay. That's one of the things with the market. Let me finish this point, and then I can ask the question. One of the markets who's your customer, right? We're going to talk about it in a second. Are they the value buyers, right? Are they the value buyers that are wanting to rent that facility because it's cheap? Or they want the extra services, right? They're willing to pay for those extra services, and how much are they willing to pay? And a lot of times they're gonna look at it not just for convenience, they're gonna look at security, they're gonna look at all the add-ins and stuff like that. Yes.
This may sound like a dumb question, but I have no idea. Do they have any kind of areas that have like a rent control on storage units? Wow.
That's the beauty. Oh, how about this one? How long does it take you to start kicking somebody out if they don't make their payment?
Next day, I did.
5 days.
Mhm.
On average, 5 days. You can do it in that month. It's due on the 1st. You haven't paid by the 5th, you're gonna get a phone call, you're gonna get a letter, and you're gonna get an email. Hey, and a lot of. This is more management. 100 out of the 100 units that you put them on credit cards, you're gonna still have 5 to 8% a month that are not gonna, the payments are gonna go through. Maybe they lost a credit card, maybe something happened. A lot of times you call them up, send them an email, call them, letter, they'll get it taken care of, and they get it taken care of. And they're good to go. A lot of times you want to watch the people that are, late all the time, right? But if you don't have a management system in place to go and educate them, then they'll drag it out, right? Yeah.
I thought earlier you had a calculation, it looked like 12.5% estimated for loss.
Yes, that was because it was a newer development. It was on the development one.
Is that standard?
Because, well, a lot of times when you go in on a development, you're not gonna, it's an average over that duration of time to get fully up and functional and up and completely occupied.
So that includes occupancy, that wasn't just lost.
It was a monthly estimate for the occupancy on the property overall, that we estimated that was gonna be 12%. So that's actually higher than traditional.
And that's not including what you just spoke about is like payment loss.
No, different payment loss are different.
Vacancy rate, right?
Yeah,
We're talking vacancy. Rate.
that was a vacancy rate.
That was vacancy rate, okay.
5 to 8% vacancies.
No, the 12% he's asking about was based upon the gross income of the facility taking time to get completely leased up. Because when you open the doors, how many facilities are leased? Well, if you pre-lease them, hopefully you got a couple at least, but a lot of times, hey, we got all these facilities. And nobody comes running to your door. Takes a while, right? Phone calls, they gotta call you, they gotta come look at the facility. Maybe they can rent it online, stuff like that. So, and then that other factor, the 5 to 8%, that's pretty standard for your monthly which non-payment for the payment issues is probably a better way of saying it.
Because they're supposed to pay up front, but if it doesn't go through.
Maybe their card got lost, they canceled their card, they changed the information, something happened, they didn't send the check in. Whatever it is, there's a lot of different issues. You'll run into all kinds of stuff.
Were you gonna share at the end what the site to do business costs? You said it was fairly expensive.
It's like $800-900 a year. I don't remember.
Okay, so it's an annual subscription.
It's an annual
No matter
subscription.
how much you use.
For what?
Yeah, Site to Do Business.
Site to do business.
Site to Do Business is the company that we use. There's a lot of other ones out there that are out there. So, but that's one of the ones that I use because I'm a CCIM, which is Certified Commercial Investment. It's for investments and stuff like that. So we have a special rate that we get. And so because I have a member that, we get that. So that's why I use it a lot. Great information though. Phenomenal information because they really get into, because you'll see some of the stuff they do. There we go. Oh, there we go. That's one of the things they do, right? Here's know your customer, right? It's from this particular market. This is within a 10-mile radius of the facility. Average home price of 200,000. It's been growing at 2.4. Is it a growing market? It is a decreasing market. One of the markets I looked at was decreasing over the last 3-5 years. You really want to buy a facility at a high price with its decreasing number of customers.
Where do you get your data from this trade association where you look at demographic of market, affluent, income and that kind of stuff and how it affects the different type of facilities?
Yeah, you'll see, that's where a lot of this is stuff. That's what this stuff is. See all this? Medium age, 22. They're classified as an up and coming family. So that means they're mid-30s, probably got a couple of kids, stuff like that, just getting started, bought their first house. Now they need it, but they also need a couple of years to accumulate some stuff that they can put in storage. Right? But their annual income is 59,000, right? So average income, state income is for Tennessee, I think is like 52,000 annually, 59, it's higher income, right? So you want to look at that. You want to look at the daytime population, 4,000 businesses within a 10-mile radius. Daytime population is 210,000 people, right? So average household income is, household size is 2.7, right? So couple with at least 1 or 2 kids, right? Stuff like that. So those are the things you want to look at because those are the things that are going to affect your market specifically, right? This is an analysis, same thing of going through the whole thing. This is what he's doing now. Remember we were talking about that? So all the different units, the breakout of the different ones, the rental rates, and he's bringing in about 116,000. He's bringing in about $193,000 annually right now in this facility. But it's at 384 units. That's a lot of units, right? That's a significant amount of units to be able to, that means there's a lot of upside on that. Because you're not limited by the 100 units, right? If you only have that. So that's what he's doing. Actually, he's doing 187,000 was what he did last year. Yeah, question?
Yeah, is there a magic formula for covering the people that you have on site, like a certain number of units to be able to cover having staff?
Oh, you mean as far as occupancy? I would think.
No, as far as,
Units you would have to have. So.
I have 3 people that they're
Employee, yeah.
employing, you know, how many? I have 100 units, I need 1 person.
Yes.
200 units, I need 1.5 people or 2 people, right?
Usually, if you have 100 units, literally, you need 1 person, 2 people to run it. Now, you may want to hire virtual assistants or hire out some of the other people to do some of the things. And then upgrade on your technology. You know, hire 1-800 number where they answer the numbers all the time, but you're paying somebody in the Philippines to answer the phone. You know, set everything up. I have an assistant in Pakistan. I do. I have one in the Philippines too. Anyways, typically if you're gonna have 500 units and more, you're gonna need about 3 to 5 people to run it. You know, so anytime you get about 500 units, anything up to 200 to 300, 1 or 2 people can run it depending on how much you really want to be involved. Is it something that you want to manage it and run it? Or is it something that it's an investment for you? Depends on your situation, but 2 people should be able to run, you know, 100 to 200 units. Once you get up to 500, above 500, once you get up to 1,000, you're going to need a full-time manager. You're going to need a maintenance guy. You're going to need all kinds of people. Then your costs obviously go up because then you're paying them a base salary plus, you know, and a lot of things they're getting away from. They're no longer giving them the apartment, right? on the thing. They're not giving them apartments anymore. Anyways, value add, management issues, right? Guy runs it by himself, so he doesn't have all the facilities and infrastructure that he needs to manage. He doesn't have the systems in place. That's where you can actually come in if you want to be manager. Help people put together the management system, right? Maintenance issues. Who's doing the maintenance on it? I don't have the report to show you, but he's got about 15 units that are unrentable right now. Well, doors don't go, just minor, you know, stuff. The hardware just needs to be fixed and updated. Hasn't done anything like that in a while. Marketing issues. He doesn't really have any marketing. You know, what's the marketing issues of a facility? Are they doing a good job? Do they have a Facebook page? Do they have any kind of online presence? Can you rent a unit online? Or do you have to actually go to the facility to rent it? Stuff like that. Marketing issues. Market issues are different than marketing. Market issues are who are your customers and where you're at, right? Marketing is the Facebook and advertising. What kind of advertising are they doing? Are they doing advertising? You know, and then what's your customer profile? Who's really renting from you? Who are the people that are doing it? Investigate future opportunities. A lot of times, the last couple of years, 2 years ago, people, when they were looking at the buying facilities, because there was so much competition, right? People were just throwing dollars at them. And so what you wanted to do is you wanted to look at the facility and go, okay, great, we can buy it at about this price, but is there potential for future development where we can put more units on there or reconfigure stuff? And they were looking at that as that was going to be the upside. That's the way to get there, right? Unit mix conversion, auxiliary incomes, cell towers. Hey, there's a nice one. Billboards, right? Truck rentals. Do you actually rent it? U-Haul, they'll come out and set you all up and you can be a drop-off spot. Now, is it a ton of money? No, not really. It's not that good. But I mean, is it extra money? Insurance, stuff like that. Propane, that was a recommendation. Propane and ATM was from a friend of mine. I'm like, really? they got an ATM on the thing. I'm like, how much do they really get? He goes, it doesn't matter to me. I don't care. I don't name it. I don't manage it. I'm like, okay.
Put in
So,
funds,
huh?
put in a gaming round.
Yeah, right. Oh, there we go. Now yeah, we're in Nevada, right? Get a gaming license. Okay, sorry, gonna wrap it up. All right. Anyways, after the conversion of it, monthly income, just increasing the rates to market rates, 32,000, it goes up to 300. Estimated expenses of 34,000 at a 6 cap, it goes up to about $4.4 million, right? Income increase, cap rate goes down. You got a great value of it. All right. Yeah. Oh, that was the comparison. Here, let me go back real quick. Okay, that's at a 6 cap. Cap rate 6, 4.2 million. Cap rate goes down 5.5. It's now worth 4.6. So if you could sell it at 5, if you could get the facility, manage it, take it up higher, and then go through it, you can get it and you can sell it at a 5 cap to a REIT. Then there you go. You got an extra $500,000 to play with. You have a question, sir?
Yeah, I've got a question for these types of deals, it's what's a typical debt like that people are getting, like?
How much debt?
Well,
Which down do you have to put down?
Yeah, well,
That's no, it's a great question. I didn't get into it because that's a whole separate subject.
And
The good thing is with self-storage, you can actually use SBA.
But also
So-
like the typical rates, because it looks like those cap rates are probably approaching basically the interest rate that people are.
Cap rates are different than interest rates. Interest rates are the cost of borrow funds.
I know what they are, but if the cap rate falls below the interest rate that people are using to borrow on, it's like negative leverage. And I'm just curious to know if the financing terms are a lot different for self-storage than other types of commercial real estate.
Yes, but it depends on if you're going conventional or if you're trying to go like SBA. The good thing with the self-storage, because it's a business, they will actually do self-storage financing, so you can come in at 10%. Yes, the rates are gonna be a lot different. So you have to be able to look at the lender and look at that stuff and do the analysis and dig in deeper to be able to see if your cap rate's gonna be, what's your cost of funds? REITs, cost of funds is cheap. That way, that's why they can buy them at 5, a 5 cap and a 4.5 cap, as opposed to somebody like us where it's, we all get together, put a bit of money in the pool and we go buy one. That our return on our equity is gonna have to be a lot higher, right? We're gonna need a higher rate of return. You're absolutely right. So
Acquisitions, how are you acquiring these? How are acquiring the best deals? You're looking at LoopNet, or you calling direct?
we have people calling.
Yeah.
LoopNet, I look on LoopNet.
Yeah,
That's where deals go to die.
I know. I figured you're calling direct, yeah.
Yeah, no, we found, no, the funny thing is real quick, and then I'll end with that.
Yeah.
Last year, 2 years ago, brokers, hey, we're looking at this deal. Well, what can you bring to the table? What about this? Never, and sometimes, hey, would you call me back? Wouldn't get a call back.
Right.
They're starting to call me back now.
Yeah.
So the market's changed, and there's a lot of, and a lot of people are sitting on the sideline, right? Everybody's sitting on the sideline with money waiting. Okay, where am I gonna put it in the next year? And they're all waiting for this to kind of, right? And rates are gonna go up on that because of the fact that, yeah, the cost of funds are gonna go up because you got the same people in charge now that were in charge in 2008. Sorry.
Just a quick follow-up on that, is when you're calling, when you're direct to whatever storage facility calling, how is your? Like,
What's the page?
are you just
What's
looking,
the script?
are you, no, are you just looking for like an owner, like?
You want to talk to the owner, managers don't typically want to give you the information. They want to take yours and pass it along. And sometimes you get called back. You want to get a hold of an owner, talk to them. I'll give you the perfect script. Hey, are you open to accept an offer on your property?
Right.
Don't ask them if they want to sell. Are you open to an offer on your property? And my thing is, I just want to get in a conversation with them and talk to them.
Yeah.
So
Everybody wants to know what their property is worth.
exactly. If you have questions, that's my contact information. By all means, reach out.
Thank you so much.